usually models, they'll get free passes in, So, and that's again, the part of that nurturing process is making them professional. And, if you got to shoot the next day, you got to make sure you're home. It's okay to go out and go to an event, maybe 1 or 2 drinks, but make sure you're home, you're looking good, your skin's good, you've got to be on point, because if you're not, the client's not going to book you again.
All right, welcome back to the Aussie Ambitions podcast. We're going to cover a really exciting topic today. It's the world of modeling. We've got our guest today. It's Mandy St.George-Crowe. How are you, Mandy?
Hi, good, thank you. And thanks for having me today.
No problem. So I'll just introduce you as the founder of Q Models. It's a modeling agency based here on the Gold Coast and doing some big things. Could you just tell us a little bit about Q Models?
Sure. So Q Models is set up approximately about 7 years ago. I needed a job. And having background experience in London, New York and Sydney, Gold Coast is my hometown, and I didn't like living in Sydney after going back again. And so basically I came back home and was looking for a job, I suppose. And then I met up with the team, called SAS Management, and started doing helping them out with some of their promotional stuff. And I saw a gap. Basically, there are modelling agents here in Queensland that were operating, but some of the talent they had on their books I thought could have been of a higher calibre. So, I sat down with them and just went, hey, my background is high-end fashion models, so maybe we can do something here. And we came up with the name Q Models, which was QUE, which stands for Queensland. So predominantly being a Queensland-based agency. And I guess my vision with Q Models was to have high-end fashion. So, because the Gold Coast has had an image of, beach babe, blonde, a little bit tacky, to be honest, very commercially style. So, with my experience, I thought, and being proud of being a Gold Coaster and wanting to live here and stay here for the rest of my life, I want to do something and I'm really 100% proud of and have my background knowledge in the industry from pretty much all around the world. So, hence Q, we started off with a few talent, and over the years, it's been a lot of hard work, and you're really persevering, and I'm really proud of how it's been, how it's growing, and how we're operating here on the coast. So I love what I do too, so it makes it easier.
That's brilliant, and look, there's going to be a lot of relatable aspects, I think, for people. Again, just to highlight, people listening in would be from outside of Australia mainly, okay. And so they'd be curious about what's a typical Aussie model like? What is a client like? What are the brands? So it's a bit of taste of your world. I don't know, is there a chance you could take us into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I guess predominantly from the talent side, we have some beautiful looking talent here. So, I'm a scout as well. So when you're scouting models, they do tend to call it a trained eye. So some people can't see it. If I go somewhere shopping with my mum or with my husband, and then I'm like, that kid there. And then they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that one there. So I will literally, if I'm eating lunch, run and jump and chase this kid down. And if they're with their parents, I'll always obviously introduce myself. And I've always got my model scout cards on me 24/7 because you never know. As I said, it is a trained eye, preferably having height and a good strong face. And that comes with time to understand that, I think, so within males and females. And, I'll scout anywhere from pretty much around 13, 14 for girls up to 19. And then generally for males, I'll scout them from around 17, 18, just depending on how they're growing. So, because obviously everyone's an individual and they grow and mature at different stages in their lives. So, and then obviously with the client base as well. So it is predominantly here on the Gold Coast, you have a lot of surf brands because we are a surf culture here. So you've got a lot of the head offices up here. And but some of the models that we do have on our books do work quite well with those surf brands. Some other ones that I do scout probably have a bit more of a European look, so they may not work for some of those brands here. but they'll work for perhaps more so like a Sydney, Melbourne clientele. So, but over the years since I've started, I think Queensland's grown a lot here in the fashion industry. So, which makes pretty exciting for me as well. So, over COVID as well, we gained a number of new clients as well because they, number one, couldn't shoot, and they couldn't shoot models they couldn't use, so they had to reach out to other markets, some Sydney and then some here in Queensland. We could provide them with just as good models and just as good photographers up here as well. So
is that just because we were sort of in a safe zone and you could operate here, and elsewhere
correct.
They could not, right?
Yeah, very much so. So that's been quite beneficial for us as well. So. And the clients, and honestly, there's e-commerce brands up here. So we've got a good base from Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Byron Bay. So all those little hubs are all becoming, like brands are popping up left, right, and centre. So, and I think we've got good models to supply those brands.
Geez, okay. Well, again, I appreciate you coming here to share some of this stuff with us. You must be busy. I can imagine like a typical day for you. You described the scouting. I'm just thinking you must be always, even in your personal life, personal and work, does it all blend together?
Yeah. It's a job that becomes a part of your life. That's for sure. So because we don't have international travel going on at the moment, that's taking things a lot less as well, because sometimes I can have talent that are traveling abroad and you can get a phone call at 3:00 in the morning and, they can't get the key to their house or the agency's not answering or something like that. So that can definitely happen. It does. You tend to live and breathe it. I mean, we do a lot of everything pretty much on our emails, iPhones, because the whole job is talking, texting. There's a lot of communication between yourself and the client, the model, because you're the middleman. So you're the manager of the talent. So you have to make sure they are, looking after themselves, communicating healthy. They have to speak to you if, something's going on wrong emotionally. So you have to be like a, parent, guidance, auntie, whatever, friend, a little bit of everything. And then we have to relate, to the clients as well, and making sure our talent that we put forward are, on time, are professional, that they're trained up before they do go to a job. Because when you're modelling, like you can start modelling, and we call that beginning stage development, new faces. So they're the young kids that we scout. Which we don't do too much with, because at the end of the day, I still think kids should be kids and should, and be out there playing with their friends. And modelling, I always look at it at that age as a little bit of a hobby. And then until they finish school, because I think school is super important, I think, for kids to have a focus and, either get themselves a part-time job as well, so they understand a good work ethic. So I think that, that's great there. And then,
yeah, no, I mean, basically you're taking us really through the kind of the touch points that you've got, right, on a daily basis. So you basically have yourself as an individual, and then you have a team that you've got to bring people in, and a network beyond there. I mean, I'm picturing like photographers, I'm picturing locations, I'm picturing lots of different pieces, and I'm just trying to understand how do you keep the balance, between, yourself personally and then this life. It's like a life business, I feel. Kind of,
yeah. Like, you tend to, that's true. Like, you live and breathe it as, like, I guess, an agent, because you are, like, it does become a family network with your talent. Because you are, the ones that are working all the time, you are dealing with them pretty much on a regular basis. So you have to, it's good to have that good, strong bond and communication. And then, so, they can call you anytime. Like, in an ideal world, 9 to 5 would be fantastic, but that just doesn't happen. So, and that's okay, because, I mean, I love what I do, and I like helping and hopefully trying to be a teacher and the best guidance that I can be for these talent, And then, the other side is obviously with the client base as well. So, maintaining client relationships as well, having a chat with them, understanding what they're doing and who's shooting. So, then you do have photographer relationships that you have either as friends and, they come to you, as an agency that they prefer, that will come. And then so, you're chatting with them and then showing them the talent. So you're constantly liaising with different people the whole time. So it doesn't really stop ever, pretty much, from like when you wake up from 6 a.m, I'll check emails, go for a little walk for time out, then you're back in the office, and 9 to 5-ish, And then you might get a little break in the afternoon, and then sometimes you've got to finish off a few loose ends for the evening. So as I said, when the international market starts up again as well, then you have to sometimes deal with that as well. So, and that can be pretty time consuming as well. So,
wow. So international market, you'd obviously, so you're representing Queensland, I guess the look, maybe that's
yeah, we have, so with the modelling industry, you have what you call as a mother agency. So a mother agent is the person that either finds, scouts the models and nurtures their career process. So, you can have like a number of talent that are mother agent too. So we are placing them eventually, with perhaps Sydney agencies, perhaps a Melbourne agency. And then when the international market opens, we have them placed either like London, Japan, New York, all around. So, and then you have that relationship with those agencies as well and making sure your model is with the agency that you feel that best fits. Then whilst, they're in that territory, that other agency is looking after them as well. So, but you check in, liaise, and find out, what they're doing exactly, and, working on their careers. So, because predominantly as an agency, we're guiding them to hopefully, depending on the kind of model that they are, for the best opportunities that they can get with different brands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I find so fascinating about this model, and as maybe the wrong word, but the business model of the modeling industry is sort of like the balance between, you've got the client need, and they want to, they want to promote their product and represent their company, and they're bringing in talent to support them with that. And then you've got the modeling side, which would be, career development and career path, and you got to look at their aspirations too, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Is there one that do you find yourself putting yourself in one situation more than others? Like, is it more around the nurturing of the talent, and then you just and then clients are there, but you just have to play matchmaker a little bit? Yeah,
I mean, your talent are probably super important though, because they are with you. As I said, it does become a family. Like, they are really important, and and I guess knowing their strengths and their weaknesses as well, and really trying to nurture that as well. Sometimes they don't believe in themselves when you can see that, so you do have to work with them as well. I mean, it is look related, this industry, predominantly, but then also there's social media that is coming through at the moment with talent having their own model profile, but then they've also got a social media profile as well, and that's where clients also are looking at as well. So you're helping to guide them to be professional, how they portray themselves in every, when they're on the job, as well as on their social media side as well. So brands and, clients will come to us, from they have seen a girl or a boy on social media, and they're like, oh, actually, we think that'd work for our brand. So, and you've really got to help them, make them understand, what they're doing and how and what products they're promoting as well on social media. So I guess overall trying to, make them look the best and professional that they can and nurture their career in the long run.
Makes sense for sure. I mean, I think that's better for everyone in that the trust is there, and then there's a lot of like that family feel where they feel looked after, and it's maybe just a healthy balance. Like the one thing I was wondering about is how, from a career path point of view, is it become like a part-time start where they've got a job and then it's like supplemental, and they're getting to the point where there is full-time modeling work? Or is it a firm start of saying, okay, we're doing modeling and we're just going to...
No. Yeah, it just varies. It really varies. Right. So because also with the industry, you've got different kinds of models. So, the old school was, they're 5'11", tall, skinny. So, they might be doing all your catwalk stuff. So height, I've noticed over the last probably a good five years or so, maybe a bit longer actually, height doesn't seem to be as important for some brands here. So as long as they're in proportion. So, that's like majorly changing. You might have some girls that do predominantly more beauty, so which is, makeup and product, because they may not have the height, so they may not be the ones that are going to be doing the catwalks, jobs. So, the jobs will, it'll very much vary a lot though from what they're doing. That's that question again.
No, that's fine. It's basically just to get a feel for that transition between how the models build a career for themselves, and obviously they're younger, they get scouted, they're coming through, you're encouraging them to do high school and so on, and then perhaps a little bit of job to get some life experience.
Yeah.
But then modeling, they want to go with it. And I'm just wondering.
Sorry, from what you're saying there, some will take off straight away. It's kind of a small percentage, I think, that do that. It's like I always say to some of the talent, like you're like learning to ride a bike. Like when you start to learn to ride a bike, it takes time, and that's the thing with the industry as well. Because when they are working and shooting, it's all about them in front of a camera as well. So their confidence as well will come off with the brand. So if predominantly that's selling clothes, so you're going to put a talent in like a dress, and she's got to move around with that dress and sell that garment. So, that whole process does take time. Some can kind of pick it up a little bit quicker than others though. And I guess it depends on their look as well. So some can have a bit more of a universal look, if that makes sense, where they can work for a lot of different brands, and it depends on the makeup team and the styling team that's with them as well. So, and availability. Some kids are doing this that are at school. They do it part-time. Some at university. So sometimes we can do it during the week, sometimes weekends, and some are full-time. And once that full-time kicks in, they will either be working, in Queensland market, or they'll go down to Sydney and go with another agency down there and then start booking for that market there. But then I can also bring them back home with the clients that we have here and go, hey, we've got a job on next week, blah, blah. We need you to fly in, fly back. Yeah, so a lot of them that are working can be quite hectic for them as well. So they can be living on a plane, going back and forward as well. So,
okay. Well, now we're getting into the bit of the glamour. It sounds like, when people hear flying in, flying out, they're like, okay, wow,
they get tired. They get tired.
There's the positives, and then there's the challenge of it can be pretty exhausting, I imagine.
It can be for them, yeah. The money can be quite worth their while, that's for sure. But they do get tired. So, and, I guess, again, they're going to have to make sure they're not out partying there, because that can be lucrative for some of them when they're in that world. They might go to the clubs and, because usually models, they'll get free passes in, So, and that's again, the part of that nurturing process is making them professional. And, if you got to shoot the next day, you got to make sure you're home. It's okay to go out and go to an event, maybe 1 or 2 drinks, but make sure you're home, you're looking good, your skin's good, you've got to be on point, because if you're not, the client's not going to book you again. So, and it can happen where they rock up. It can happen.
Yeah, right.
Not all the time.
Oh, this is what we want. We want some of those horror stories without giving away.
Yeah. You'll get a phone call. They smell like alcohol. And I'm thinking, oh no. So it does happen. Not all the time, but it can happen. So it's just making sure that for these kids, just to keep reminding them as well. So some are, honestly, some are fantastic. Some don't drink either, though. So, and I actually kind of have noticed a little bit more so in recent years, a lot of them are being vegan as well. So there is a lot more of a health consciousness with this generation at the moment, which is definitely a win-win. So
just thinking about
and
that.
the coast as well.
Yeah. No, that's just thinking about what you described about them going out to shoots, and you're putting them forward to jobs, and then it can go well, or there can be some situations. Does that come back to you as the agency manager, like in terms of reputation? And you have to
totally, manage that. Yeah, if you're supplying models that aren't on their game, then they're not going to want to use your agency. So it's just it's definitely a whole piece of that puzzle. So with that, so it's
a bit of an education for the model to say, look, this has come back to me, and this is not.
I do. Yeah, and you have to. You have to give them the feedback. So like any. I always like to call it, constructive criticism as well. So if they're not on the game or they're a little bit tired, then we have to look at that though, and sometimes the girls, they, might be low in iron. So, as well. So we have to make sure they're on point, they're tired and like, well, hang on, let's hold back for a second. Let's kind of book you out. Let's either go to the doctor and get you sorted first, and then you can come back on the job again. So, and you have to make sure all those elements are covered for them as well. That's super important. Yeah. Health is very important for the talent for sure.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, we've had a few people come through the show that have had an acting background, and you get a true appreciation of people that just need to be on. They need to perform.
Oh, yeah,
at that moment. And I imagine modeling would be much the same.
100%. Yeah, they're on. That's it. They're in front of the camera. They're the muse. So they have to, and, various posing and, as I said, it's a certain amount of garments that they have to wear in a certain day, and they're in and out. They have to operate quickly. And time is money for brands. So they want, utilize the best that they, that they can get. So, and, obviously you have breaks, and that's for sure. That's all adamant. That's all above board. So, but they definitely have to be healthy and looking after themselves, because they can be long days. And it's 8 hours or, 4 hours, 8 hours, and they're sort of standing. Sometimes they're in the heat. And it's a hot day.
Yeah,
and, the last few days here has been exceptionally hot as well. So I've had a couple of kids going, whoa, it's hot. So, they're going to make sure they're hydrated throughout the day. And obviously the clients look after that as well. And then you get the extreme of cold weather as well. And they're usually shooting opposite campaigns in the weather. So in the cold weather, they're shooting swim. And then in the hot weather, they're often shooting winter garments. So
that's an interesting little tidbit of information.
Yeah.
I mean, because you see a lot of the beach shoots and things, and it you got to wonder, are they totally uncomfortable in the sand, in the surf, and all that? Do you get what's the general impression of doing a beach
Depends where the sand goes.
Well, we see the big waves coming, waiting for the blooper.
I think most of the time they really enjoy it though. Yeah, because I've had a couple of girls, they've either been in beautiful wedding dresses or garments, and they're like, oh my God, I feel really bad about this dress. So it's like, hang on, let's worry about yourself. So I think it's a job that they love doing. Yeah.
Do someone that's on the right path with modeling, do they have their choice of jobs? Is it the type of thing you say, look, I got a video project over here, and I got some catalog work and maybe some runway over here?
Well, yeah, not really. I mean, not really. Again, it's like, learning to ride that bike again. So it's learning to ride that bike as in you're learning to do different kinds of jobs. So e-commerce, which is when you're shopping online and you see those talent that are like stock standard, that's usually where they kind of start out with certain jobs. So just doing very basic poses. And then it graduates to, then, if you get a campaign, so you kind of got little stepping stones to get in the industry. Like you do test shoots first with a variety of photographers, and that's where the talent are learning to move in front of the camera and understand their strengths and angles in the camera. Then, you can start booking them on e-commerce jobs, and they are sort of basic stock standard images. And there's obviously video content. Then they're learning to, move with the garment. And then, then there's such variety. And then, once you're shooting a campaign, that's the goal at the end of the day when you're shooting for modeling, is to get a campaign job. So, and that's where we come in as management as well. Like we have, we work with the brands and the clients, understanding how long the images are going to be used for, who they're shooting with, and then, how long the campaign will go for as well. So as management, we're always trying to look out the best for our talent as well. So, and have, obviously the best rates that they can get, and hopefully the aesthetic of how the style and the shoot and the campaign is going to be. With some brands, we might say no to for some talent, because we really want to keep their caliber up super high. But when you're learning, you kind of let's do what we can do and learn as much as you can.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's helpful to see kind of the order of things. And if you've got a big campaign, you've pretty much, that's a career milestone, right?
Yeah. If you get a perfume, tick. But that doesn't happen so much here in Australia. That's more Europe and New York.
Okay. Yeah. So what would be an Australian success? I'm thinking of some iconic campaigns. You'd have a Qantas campaign. You'd have Australian tourism.
Yeah. I guess for fashion more so, you're getting your high street brands. So shooting for Maya, David Jones, Sea Folly swimwear, bras and things, Witcheries, Country Roads. So that's a great campaign to have as well, because you basically, with the talent, they're growing their book. So when you start out, they've got a portfolio, which can be online or an actual book. You're trying to build that up. So the more imagery and campaign work, the more elite you become as a model. And also those brands are usually working with the top photographers as well. So once you get those models working for those brands, working with the top photographers, that really elevates their book and their profile up as a model as well. So, and then that's when they're becoming and can come a bit of a name for themselves as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just again for people,
which can take years, to mind you, it takes time. Yeah,
it does. So just for people not at all familiar with the landscape of things here, is there a big name fashion model that you would mention? Say, okay, everyone should know this name because she's done well, or he's done well.
Oh gosh, from what era? I mean, Elle Macpherson back in the day was always, that was, who I always loved as a model. Like, she was an Australian iconic model. Then over the years, like, you got Gemma Ward as well. She's been a big model. God, there's a number of them.
Maybe, I guess it's more around, I'm thinking of the Instagram era. So, because that really changed things a lot, I'm sure. It's sort of that direct, people can see, or aspiring models can actually start to market themselves and put themselves out there.
Yes.
So I'm interested in that little shift as well.
Yeah, that's kind of happened the last, maybe about 5 years or so. When it was coming through, it was like, okay, what's happening here? And it's like, you got to jump on the bandwagon as well. And the good and the bad, I think, that has come from it. Because basically when we've had modeling, you're always sort of protecting the model. But once you're on that platform, it does expose you to people contacting talent directly. So that side of it, we always say to the models, if someone's contacting you, just speak to the agency, because you have to be careful of who is contacting. If they don't contact an agency, they're probably not the kind of client or person or photographer that you actually want to deal with, because once they know they contact their agency, they're probably going to say no to them as well. So, social media has, it's crazy. It's grown so much, and sometimes, and some clients purely look at their social media talent than their books sometimes online. So, and that's what I was saying before, you definitely have to help guide them, make sure they're being professional as they can be. Again, with some of the following, that's such a big thing as well. So because it's also opened up other clients as well. So from predominantly just a standard model booking, you've got brands who everything's becoming digital content these days. So you're not necessarily marketing companies basically not putting so much money into print these days, or billboards. It's all becoming digital.
Right. So
those talent that have large followings is becoming important, because that's another market that they're getting as well. So there might be a yogurt brand or some sort, so that are coming in to sell a product.
So just to say, it's them as an influencer?
Yeah, them as an influencer as well. So then they have to, because they might have 100,000 following, but depending on the percentage of, male-female followers, what their engagement is like, how many hits they're getting, because when you create a business profile, they've got certain various insights. So clients want to see that as well. So to make sure, if we're, you say you're getting $100 for that, then they're like, oh, okay, we want to see the stats. So is it going to be worthwhile for their client base as well? So, when it did first start, I think some people were buying followers, and all else through the algorithms has changed everything as well. So with, talent that have, say 100,000 following, depending if they're a girl or boy, if it's a girl, you'll find a lot of them have male followings, which isn't beneficial for a female clothing brand. So you say they've got, 10% female followers, clothing brand's going to go, and you got 90% men. Well, that's not quite our market there. So I guess the engagement as a female, you do want to have more female followings as much as you can.
I mean, that's some good advice that you're just offering up.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that you do? There is an education step when you're coaching these girls or guys coming through, saying, look, this is how it all works?
It's changed so much through these algorithms as well. So definitely, well, of course, I definitely guide some of the girls to do makeup tutorials, do things that girls want to see. Every guy loves seeing a girl in a bikini, so that's, I think, where that following has got quite large, so definitely guide them more on the fashion-based angle and do things that girls, basically want to see other girls doing. So
Yeah, no, I think it's just like you said, it's a platform, it's a tool, and whether it's here, I mean, Facebook's kind of got a bit of it's evolved. Let's just say it's not as hot.
No.
For brands and
I don't know what kind of brands.
Yeah, it depends, right?
For fashion, I think not so much anymore.
Let's just say it's matured, and you got TikTok that's kind of
TikTok is becoming quite huge, massive.
It's quick, and nobody really knows how to. I mean, you can get big quickly, but you don't know how to monetize on it.
Yeah,
all this kind of stuff. And I think brands they probably conservative. What's your experience with brands? Are they kind of risk averse, or are they going for it and they want to do something edgy?
I think sometimes they do have to play it pretty safe, though. I think it depends on the brand. See, we're mainly, with our models, like we're kind of dealing from a variety of brands. So from fashion clothing labels, jewelry brands. You do get some other things like vitamins as well. But the talent also generally have to believe in what they're promoting as well. So that's a big thing as well. So you might have Sally that, someone's saying to her, have this coffee brand, and she's like, I don't drink coffee, so she's not going to promote that. So, and I think some possibly talent do, but it has to be authentic, I think, for it to work. Rather than them going, oh, here's coffee, you should drink this or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I really think, with the talent, they have to believe in the product.
Okay, that's interesting. So because it eventually becomes part of their portfolio, and if there was some kind of really staged shoot that they just weren't on board with, they wouldn't be proud of it, or
I think so. Because I'm dealing with this pretty much every day. So and when a brand comes, I always say to talent, are you interested in this? Is this something you believe in? And then they're either going to say yes or no. So
cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that is actually just particularly interesting for me, and I think the audience listening in, so we've got a lot of entrepreneurs listening in, people that are trying to that are self-starting and creating something. And you mentioned e-commerce, so there'd be a lot of people that e-commerce you can quickly start something and
correct
get going, right?
You got to maintain it.
And their budget's probably smaller and so on, but there's still a need to showcase product, right?
Of course, yeah.
So is it the type of thing that is there are models and modeling, is the modeling industry accessible to those kind of smaller players that are just starting out?
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, they might want micro influencers depending on where their market is. So, you might have, say, a Gold Coast brand selling, beach chairs of some sort, and they're a local market, so they want what they call the micro influencers. So they're either the girls that are starting up in that age group that they might have like a minimum 10,000 to 80,000 or so they can either give them product or and then send them and maybe pay them a small fee of some sort to get that going. So so it's covers for all. Definitely. As I said, the girls that are starting up and then the new brands, they can work quite well together, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, all this is really actually interesting to see the interconnectedness of it. Like you've got the modeling industry and you've got great experience there, but then you've got the client side, you understand that.
And, definitely, yeah.
And then the coaching and the mentoring and modeling themselves. Like, is there a future for the business where you might go in that direction, a bit more like consulting or?
Possibly, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think so. There could definitely be that chance. But I mean, I think I do enjoy that angle, I guess, of understanding what the clients want as well. So different brands will go for certain different looks, so I can, have, I might have like a surf brand come in. I'll go, right, I've just got this girl, you've got to have a look at her. So, we think she's going to be perfect for your brand. So, and she might be a bit more of a blondie, that kind of a bit more beachy look. And then, but, I might have another client that's, got luggage wear, some like leather, cool, and they might want someone that's perhaps a little bit more brunette also that looks a little bit sharper for their products because they might be looking for that luggage international travel. So I mean, I think I'll still stay possibly on the model side. I mean, Instagram is growing and growing constantly. So I guess it's also being on top of it and understanding what is changing each time, like especially through algorithms. And then another brand comes, as I said, like, your TikToks come in through. So, but I think for product selling, Instagram and the modeling industry goes pretty much quite hand in hand as well. Yeah, I think it's a really strong platform.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's neat to see the way it's evolved and where it might go. I think being here I think the location can help a lot. I mean, is there an influx of people coming to Queensland, do you feel, or like say from the bigger cities? So I lived in Sydney for 10 years or so.
Okay, yeah.
And so I feel you there. Like the lifestyle is not necessarily the life here.
Lifestyle is so much better here.
Okay. So it's good to celebrate that. But
I think so. Pretty obviously with COVID as well, people are sort of realizing being in the city as well and going to the office every day, and like perhaps that's changed for some industries. I think, being here on the Gold Coast, it is growing. And then obviously, and we're hearing that people are moving up from Sydney, Melbourne, like monthly. There's like 8,000 or something. I don't know the correct number, but I heard that recently. Or some are, moving to northern New South Wales as well. So, which is that kind of Sydney market, which is kind of coming closer up here, which is opening up that market here a little bit further here for Queensland. So, I think living here in Queensland, it's amazing. Yeah. And it is like Brisbane's becoming such a massive city now as well. And I think, having that city element is, seeing Gold Coast perhaps, it was known as like a beachy town, but now I think they're taking people serious now as well. It's like, hang on, we are, yes, we have had this lifestyle, but we've got a lot to offer here, and we're constantly growing. So
yeah, that's neat. And there might be other emerging cities where the same type of thing happens, like to shift away from the big cities to just, some of it more lifestyle area, and then things can flourish there as long as people enjoy the work.
Yeah. But, our office is in Mermaid, so we can walk outside on a summer's day and go grab a coffee that's, down near Mermaid, near the beach. And, over the time I've had like lunchtime go, I'm just going to jump for a swim in the surf.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. If you've had that and it's hot outside, like it's like, hey, let's go for a quick little, have an hour to myself, go for a dip, come back in and sit back in the office again and finish off the day.
Yeah. Nice. So somewhere along the line, you just worked that in, right? You created the business. You decided that this is part of what you wanted. You wanted a beachside office location, and
yeah, pretty much. So I guess the busy side of big cities. And then, you come back home and I'm like, I could actually ride to work if I want today. And, and then I can drive, I can ride my pushy, or, on the way home, I go for a swim and, can't complain. Or in the morning, start your day off and go down to Burleigh and just, and start the day, 6 or 7 in the morning and just smell that beautiful ocean air. And then feel revived and go, right, I'm pumped for the office now. So that's my morning done. And then, so I think the lifestyle here is phenomenal.
Yeah, nice. I think people are going to pick up on, you mentioned pushy. Do you want to tell?
Oh, pushy. Push bike, cycle.
Yeah, push bike. I still think that's a bit cute. It's a cute name.
Yeah. Or, someone go on the skateboard, or you're skatey, or or your roller skates, or your roller blades.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, neat. Look, I think definitely neat to hear about all the things that you've built and created and what you're doing with it. In terms of if people wanted to get started with modeling, that's probably where a lot of people will come into this conversation saying like, yeah, I feel like I could go down that path. Do you have any thoughts about how people get started?
Yeah, I get parents ring up the agency, or it is a selective look that we do go for. If there's someone that's interested in the industry, we basically just get them to either email photos of themselves or of their son and daughter. And then we'll generally get back to them and let them know if they've got a look that would suit us, that we'll get them in the agency and sit down and have a chat with them and then sort of explain it a little bit to them. And it's also how they photograph as well. So that's all about how you photograph, because generally that's we can't really do our job without photos, and that's what modeling is taking photos of them and selling them to, that's what brands look for the right look to sell their garments. So
yeah, I think on your website you have it clearly outlined, like, both boys and girls, kind of the look, the feel, what the clients might be looking for. It helps people figure out. But that's sort of like a high fashion type of a
there's and there's other agencies out there that do excuse me, everyday models, which is, I think that's a great element as well. So excuse me, sorry. And there's agencies that have curve models as well. So there's different kinds of agencies for different kinds of looks. So
One of the questions I wanted to see if we can catch you on was, obviously you work with lots of different people with different levels of experience, but have you ever heard or chatted with a model that came in with some really bad advice? So someone has guided them down the wrong path, and I don't know, they thought they should be doing it this way, but you're like, where did you learn that from?
Like I've had this, I think I've spoken to some girls that, the agency sent them overseas and they didn't have a proper agency to go to when they went there. And I almost was mortified. I'm like, how can someone do that to you? So, yeah, I just think depending on like their agency, like you've got your reputable agencies and they're the one, like, it's a small industry where everyone, within Australia, it's like a small amount of agencies that we have here, and everyone sort of tends to know everyone with, as in the bookers and the agents. So, and most of us sort of generally work together. Some agencies we don't work with because it's just how it is. But yeah, sorry, I kind of forgot what the question was.
Oh, like just getting a feel for how it fits with other people, like other agencies, and them getting experience, and then you having to. You see their potential, but they come in with some bad habits, or they don't have a good work ethic or something like that.
Yeah, if they don't have a good work ethic, we've kind of nipped that in the bud straight away. So a
bit of a Mandy boot camp.
Yeah. It's like, come on, think about it, what you're doing. So, and it doesn't go too far if they're if you're placing them, with another agency in another state, they have almost just the same, almost higher expectations. So if you're not pulling, your weight, you got to make them understand. So we try, it can happen occasionally, but we try not to make that. Yeah, we try not to make a habit out of that though. Yeah.
Makes sense. The other one I was thinking is, again, people who are considering their career path and they're going to start seeking things out. They'll go to the Q Models website. They'll go to another website, they'll go to classified ads. There's lots of sort of a darker side to it.
Okay.
Any thoughts or cautions in that area? I mean, it's really just someone's posting something like, "Oh, we're hiring for a model for this shoot. Please reply." And they go from there.
Yeah, no, and that's really tainted a lot of the industry, and I put a lot of fear into people, I think, with that as well. So I think, if anyone is going to an agency, you make sure you have a look at their books, or, you speak to other, you Google online, you see, or you have a look at their Instagram, their social media, to see what that they're doing and that it's professional. So, I think, any ads in the paper, don't know. I mean, to be with an agency, you don't need to pay to be with an agency. We look at it as an investment. So we'll put the time into you. And, it can take, 2 or 3 or 4 years until they can start making money. So, we don't expect money from that because we see a certain look in the talent, and we can nurture that with time to know that eventually when they're at the right age and the right maturity level, it's going to work for them. So, yeah, so just... I think some people really want it. And there might be, like an agency that, looks after extras or actors, that kind of angle. I think they're better off going down that way. Some parents want their kids to do modelling, then again, look for a decent, reputable agency that actually have kids on there. But, children for modelling, it's very, very minimal here in Queensland. Like any of those children that are getting booked on, like, your Kmarts or your Big W's. Most of that's done in Sydney anyway. So, again, I think some parents get sucked into that, which is a real shame because there's just not a really big market for it though. But, yeah, I think they have to be careful.
Sure. And I think this is the age of transparency. Like, it's pretty hard to hide or do anything dodgy. Like you said, just look people up.
Look people up. Yeah, 100%. And same with the photographers as well. So again, we have a duty of care when we're shooting with them. We have to make sure we know them. No girls under the age of 16. I don't like putting them in bikinis or anything like that. Because again, that's not right.
And it's helpful to just, make sure there is clear guidelines around that stuff. So it's not just so wild. And I mean, entrepreneurship's good. I like the people going for it, but it's obviously just what's healthy and right.
Yeah.
Industry.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, that side, Instagram is that entrepreneurial side with some of the talent as well. Like, you can see them, it's a platform for themselves, but it can be a platform for them to make some money from it though as well. So,
well, that might be a good place to wrap up. Actually, I was just on the concept of entrepreneurship and modeling, and yourself being an entrepreneur. There's sort of this like magic triangle where you could actually see the potential in people to be a model and a successful model, but then perhaps take an entrepreneurship journey from there. What's the overlap between entrepreneurship and modeling, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's your own brand, really, at the end of the day. So, you know, there are, you know, models out there that we know their names, you know, like like Kate Mosses to, you know, as I said, like the Elle Macphersons before, or the, you know, Bella and Gigi Hadid. So, and, you know, your Kardashians, you look at them, and, you know, your Kendall Jenner. So obviously they've been on TV show, mind you, as well. So the Kardashians, but, you know, I think with the modeling, it's how you portray yourself, and, you know, and I guess working with the brands, and, you know, maintaining your following. And it is being active on your social media, which can take a lot of pressure as well. So, you know, having engagement, social engagement, asking those questions, and because that's part of how the algorithms are changing, and making sure your feed is on the top of the page. So you get noticed more. So for, you know, for the kids wanting to do that, and some do a great job at it though. And, you know, some are not that, you know, interested in it, where they're just happy to sort of do the modeling jobs, where others are like, yep. You know, I want to keep working hard on my following. So, because that can be another profitable side from that as well. And there are also like other agencies out there that do purely focus on social media talent, getting them, you know, campaign work with, you know, say Australian tourism also. And so that there is that market there as well.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful. Well, it's definitely one to watch. I guess for people to check out your website, do you want to tell us what that is?
Yeah, so it's www.qmodels.com. And if anyone's interested in modelling, you can feel free to email at info@qmodels.com, and it's all on the website there as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, appreciate your thoughts on the fashion and the entrepreneur world.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Mandy.
No worries. Thank you, Connie.